This is the story of a traitor.
A fighter so powerful that back in his day, he was banned from Draft League City altogether. Back then, of course, Parasect Germain coach Shroomraver knew what it was to be on top of the world. He had just won the second season of the original Pokémon Premier League, but his luck would not hold out for very long. And before he hit his darkest hours, he turned to an unknown quantity.
Allowed into the city for the first time, he was a force to be reckoned with, despite still being held back from using all his power. DLPD archives tell us that the powers that be considered his abilities to be unfair, and he served Shroomraver well while it was safe to do so. But Parasect Germain suffered a dramatic fall from grace, and he slipped away into the darkness once more. Fast forward a few years. As a shadow once more fell over Draft League City, he came crawling back out of the woodwork, now an agent working for some shadowy organisation and selling out to whoever could afford him. And of course, it just happened to be Addison. The two of them were the final nail in Coach Shroom's Season 2 coffin.
But then, wouldn't you know, they both abandoned their ideals. Addison won the league and promptly left Draft League City, and the one now known as Slippery Pete showed his true colours. Loyal to no organisation, person, or anything really, once again he sold his services to the highest bidder. And wouldn't you know, once more, that was Shroomraver.
And he did good work for Parasect Germain. I'm sure viewers will remember, if you were watching. With Draft League City in the throes of a devastating power struggle, he nearly helped take the team to the promised land a second time, but they fell tantalisingly short. The city descended into the chaos we see today, and Slippery Pete disappeared once more.
And now he's resurfaced, and once again, Coach Shroomraver finds himself on the opposite side of the field. This time, Slippery Pete is working with Q, a man who, in just the last season of the Pokémon Premier League, came as close as Parasect Germain did to finding glory, only to crash out earlier than they both would have liked.
Both Q and his amphibious henchmen have beaten us at crucial stages of seasons gone by. Not this time.
Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and welcome back to the MBC Week 6. Yes indeed, today we are trying to get back on track. We took our first loss last week, but it was to the only other unbeaten coach at that point in the league. So it was bound to happen eventually, statistically. This week we are taking on Q, the Costa Rican, and the Chicago Dragapults. His links down in the description below with everyone else. Make sure you check them out. Q's teams are always war crimes, and this one's no different. He can choose from Gouging Fire, Greninja, Ursaluna Bloodmoon, Rillaboom, Galarian Zapdos, Hatterene, Fortress, Frostlass, Weezing, and Masquerain. Terra captaincy has got are the Rillaboom and the Hatterene. It is a very dangerous team that we have to go up against today. So we are going to be starting things off against him with Life Orb, Mixed Iron Valiant with Moonblast, Vacuum Wave, Close Combat, and Shadow Ball on there. Outspeeding, I believe it is the Galarian Zapdos. I think the Greninja, excuse me, naturally outspeeds us. The Frostlass will be outpacing too. We want to go mixed here because there's a few things he has, the likes of the Fortress, the Ursaluna Blood Moon, that could go mixed in bulk, so we want to be able to do as much damage to them as possible. And those are the moves we have gone with. Shadow Ball pretty much on there for that Hatterene, and to be able to hit things like the Frostlass for super effective damage. Next up we have Assault Vest Raging Bolt, max special defense. We have a sassy nature though, because we are running Heavy Slam. Once again, it's to hit that Hatterene if it doesn't Terror. Will also do big damage to the Frostlass with it. Draco, Volt Switch and Thunderclap are the other moves of choice on there. We've got some decent special attack investment, enough physical attack to take, I think it's 2 hits from the Rillaboom, certainly if it's not banded. But to help us with those physical threats, we are bringing back Petulant today. With EVs all over the place, it is mostly physically defensive with some special bulk. We've got a Sugar Berry on there to take a high horsepower from the Rillaboom, an Earth Power from the Ursaluna Blood Moon, Stomping Tantrum from the likes of, or Earthquake indeed, from the likes of the Gouging Fire. We've got Malignant Chain, Shadow Ball, Toxic and Recover. Went for Toxic over the Parting Shot because I'm fully expecting there to be at least one covert Pokemon on that team. Either the Gouging Fire or the Ursaluna Blood Moon would be my bet. Fourth up, we have Citrus Berry Ting-Lu. Again, this is very physically defensive. We have enough pace on there to outrun the likes of Weezing, if he wants to do that. Possibly even a very non-invested Ursaluna. Body Press, Ruination, Heavy Slam, and Stealth Rock. No Earthquake or Bulldoze here because of that grassy terrain that he could put up with the Rillaboom, but it's going to be the same story as usual with Ting-Lu. Ruination things down as much as possible to try and make way for some of our speedier attackers. One of which is going to be Terra Fairy Meloetta. Assault Vest once again. We have Hyper Voice, Psychic, Shadow Ball, and U-Turn on there. Outpacing, I think it is an Adamant Gouging Fire. I think that's the one. Hyper Voice, Psychic, Shadow Ball, very much standard coverage on there. We've gone with Fairy as a more defensive Terra option to be able to take hits a little bit better from the Galarian Zapdos and the Gouging Fire should our main answer to those in Petulant go down. And the final member of the team, we're actually bringing both Terra Captains and they can both go Terra because we have a very interesting Terra Flying Glastria here with the Sharp Beak, because Glastria is indeed the best bird. The best bird is a horse. We are Terra Blast, Curse, Rest Talk on here. Again, it's very specially defensive with some physical investment and some attack on there too. There are no resistances to flying on my opponent's team, so if I can get this guy set up, then we're going to be in a very nice position indeed. But that is the team that I'm going to be bringing against Q, so let's get right into the battle screen and see what he's decided to bring against us. So, as you can see, Q has decided to bring Gouging Fire, Greninja, Ursaluna Blood Moon, Hatterene, Fortress, and Rillaboom. We've both brought both of our Terra Captains. That Rillaboom can go Dark, and the Hatterene can go Poison. Now, I'm going to be leading with my Raging Bolt here, predicting the Fortress lead. It seems obvious on his side, but he will know that I have 3 options for hazard removal, and I haven't brought any of them. So I'm hoping that he wants to just get his hazards up as quickly as possible, so that I can Volt Switch into my Glastria and try and set up early game, if that looks like it's going to work. So, that's going to be my lead. Let's see how things go. So, here we go, MBC Week 6 up against Q and the Chicago Dragapults. I'm leading with my Raging Bolt. He is going to lead with Gouging Fire. This is a horrible matchup for me. I don't want any part of this whatsoever because he can just body me with like a Scale Shot or an Outrage, something like that. So I'm going to make the immediate switch into my Petulant as the best thing to try and take this on and scout out what kind of set he's going to be opening with. So, don't want to be taking a hit from Gouging Gary over there. I'm going to get his brother Raging Roger out of there, go into my Petulant, as he is just going to roar Outrage here. Now, we have some decent physical defense investment, but even so, that is looking very much like a choice banded set. Certainly, it is jolly. Now, he's locked in. He has to go for another one, but he's doing under half, and I'd really like to go for a recover here, much as it would be nice to try and get Iron Val in on the outrage that won't affect me, and then he's going to have to switch out. So I can go for like a Moonblast. It would look then like he'd be bringing in a Fortress, and then I'd have to react to that, and that would be Hazard Central for him. So I'm just going to go for Recover here, try and wait out this outrage, and see what he can then go into on my Petulant. So in comes that second outrage. That is going to take me down well into the reds. He's going to get the 2-turn outrage, which is a little unfortunate. I'd have preferred maybe to go for 3, but I am going to be able to go for a Recover here, get my Petulant back up to a really nice, respectable level of health. Now, there's a few things he could do here. If he's Covert Cloak, this would be a really good opportunity for him to go into Ursaluna Blood Moon. Failing that, he could very well go into the Fortress. Now, I'm going to hedge my bets and just go for Toxic. If Fortress comes in, I can deal with it. So I'm going to try and drop a Toxic and see what his answer to Petulant is. So he is going to withdraw Gouging Gary, and he is going to play into Fortress, which is unfortunate because, of course, I clicked Toxic and Psych, I clicked Shadow Ball. Get absolutely swerved, everybody. Now, the Shadow Ball does a lot of damage, more damage than I thought it would do. And running the counts, there is no way that that could do that much damage unless he is a negative special defense nature. That means he's probably got some special attacks going on, most likely Volt Switch, but Fortress don't tend to run investment just for Volt Switch, so it's possible that he's running like Steel Beam, for example, along with Hazards as a kind of suicide setter, knowing that I don't have any of my removal. So now I could just go for the Shadow Ball again, and as you see, that's what I'm going to do, but he is going to get out of there with Fortress, and he is going to make a very offensive switch into his Greninja. Shadow Ball is going to come in and do, as you'll see, not a whole huge amount, a nice little bit of chip there. But with Greninja in, my best play is to go into my Assault Vest Raging Bolt to scout out what this Greninja wants to do. Find out if he's Protean, if he's Battle Bond, if he's Choiced, any of those things. So, gonna call Petulant on back and go into, as I say, my very specially defensive Assault Vested Raging Bolt. And Greninja here, just gonna go for the Surf. He shows himself to be Protean, and this Surf does very little damage indeed. Too difficult to tell from that range whether he's Specs or Scarf. I'm suspecting at this point that he could very well be Scarfed, just to make sure he outpaces a +1 Iron Valiant. Now, options here are to potentially go for Volt Switch, but there's always the chance he decides to bring in the Ursaluna Blood Moon, since I don't have amazing switch-ins into it. So, knowing that he's going to want to switch out here, I'm considering putting the double into Meloetta. And that's exactly what I'm going to do, but Q is going to get out of there as well, pretty much underlying that he's choiced in some way, either that or he doesn't want to reveal that he's not. So he's going to go into the Fortress. Shame, I really wish I'd gone for Volt Switch there, but I couldn't take the risk of the Ursaluna coming in early game. So in comes Meloetta right about now, and seeing how much Petulant did with Shadow Ball, I'm pretty sure that one of my own is going to be enough to take out the Fortress. So I'm going to go for it, lock in with Shadow Ball, that is going to come in, and it is indeed going to take out the Fortress from there. So down it goes, Meloetta taking first blood of the match, and we go up 6-5. Now, in is going to come the Rillaboom here. This is a bit of a problem for my team, specifically because he can go Terra Dark. This means that he could be firing off Terra Dark knockoffs, and that means Petulant is no longer a safe switch into him. So I was a bit worried here. There's also the chance that he's running high horsepower to be able to hit my Raging Bolt. Now, in hindsight, going into Raging Bolt would have been a fair enough play, but I figured I'd probably need Raging Bolt for that Greninja. So what I'm going to do here is actually stay in on the Rillaboom, hoping that I outspeed, and just looking to take my damage. So we do outspeed, going to go for Hyper Voice, and that proves he's not Assault Vest, and very worryingly, he goes for Swords Dance. This is a huge problem. Rillaboom is looking to break me very early, and with a +2 in the terrain, that Grassy Glide is going to be destroying my Meloetta. Now, unfortunately, the combination of two Grassy Glides will take out pretty much anything except the Raging Bolt, which can be taken out with that into knockoff, high horsepower. So what I'm going to do is stay in and unfortunately let Meloetta go, because I need a safe switch in to the only thing on my team that can reliably take a hit from +2 Rillaboom, and that is going to be my other Terra Captain, Glastria. So Glastria is going to hit the field here, and I'm going to have to go for my Terra and immediately just hit him with Terra Blast. I cannot set up on him. He will just 2-hit KO me with knockoff, especially if he goes Terra Dark, but it's looking like he doesn't want to Terra this and is saving it for that Hatterene. So I am just going to click the Terra button, knowing that I will live any hit, and go for my Terra Flying Terra Blast. So here comes Hidalgo's Terastallization. We are going to turn into that flying type. He has no reason to go for Grassy Glide here. He knows, of course, that I'm Terra Flying and that it will do nothing and just present me with an opportunity. So he is just going to go for the knockoff, do a huge amount with a big crit. That's really unfortunate. He knocks off my Shark Beak. Terra Blast is going to take out the Rillaboom from here, but that's a real pain that he was able to get the crit there, because it means that my longevity on Hidalgo is really limited. Now, in comes the Ursaluna Blood Moon, and without that crit, there is every chance I could have salvaged Glastria here. It's built to take 2 hits from most things on Q's team, but with that crit, there's really no chance. The only thing I can rest up on is the Hatterene, considering the Fortress is long gone. So unfortunately, it means that I can't really switch much in. Like, I want a clean switch into my my Ting-Lu onto this Ursaluna, because it can still put in a huge amount of work, especially if it's like Choice Specs or Life Orb with Moonblast. So I am unfortunately just going to have to let Hidalgo go here. I do go for the rest just in case I live the hit, but that crit is nail in the coffin. And unfortunately, Glastria is going to go down without adding anything more to this battle. But now Ting-Lu can come in fresh. There's no hazards, I'm at full health, and the Vessel of Ruin is going to severely hamper what this thing can do to me. So I'm just going to go for the Ruination. There's every chance that he stays in because he can take the hit, but Q is going to get on out of there, and he is going to go into the Hatterene, his other Terra Captain, which is now completely free to Terra, and as you'll see, he activates a Grassy Seed. That could be problematic, especially once I miss the Ruination. Now I'm actually going to pull back with Ting-Lu and go into my Petron here, thinking I can just go for a Malignant Chain before forgetting that he is the other Terra Captain, and very worryingly, he is now going to go for Calm Mind. He got the Hatterene in just before the Grassy Terrain ended, so now he's at +1 defense, +1 special defense, and +1 special attack. And this is where I fully remember he's Terra Poison. Malignant Chain is not going to work here. So I'm starting to panic a little bit, and especially since he's setting up Calm Minds. What I'm going to do here is go for Shadow Ball. This entire exchange should not have happened. I should have just spammed Ruination, but I wasn't thinking straight, and it's a problem because now is when that Terastallization is going to come full force. Here is the Terra Poison Hatterene with a defense boost and a Calm Mind to its name. Now I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball here, looking to try and get some Spadef drops, but as you'll see, we are doing precious little, and now he goes for Trick Room. This is a huge problem. And now he's going to go for a second Calm Mind, outpacing me in Trick Room, and I'm starting to really panic here. I am going to go for the Shadow Ball and just try and fish for that Spadef drop, and what I'm really wishing now is that I didn't have Toxic and instead had Parting Shot, because that is my only way that I could have had of forcing him out at the expense of him getting initiative and me dropping my stats. But I'd take it at this point, and as you'll see, it's all for naught because the Psyshock is going to come in and clean out my Petron. Down it goes, and now he is +2 with Calm Mind, +1 with the defense boost. Under Trick Room, I have nothing that is really taking him on. The best thing I have is my my Ting-Lu here. By the looks of his set, his fourth move is going to be Draining Kiss. What I have to do here is just spam Ruination and keep him at half health. So as you see, Draining Kiss is going to come in and do just over half my health and take him back up to full. However, I do have the Citrus Berry. And this is pretty much my only shot here. It's going to take me up by a little bit, and I'm going to go for Ruination. My plan here, essentially, is to keep hitting Ruination and keep him at half, because he's going to go for another Draining Kiss, get himself back to a really good amount, and then I'm going to go for Ruination again, and as you'll see, that's what plays out. The Draining Kiss takes him back to full, and I'm going to go for another Ruination. But his next Draining Kiss is not going to take him back to a really good amount of health, and the Twisted Dimensions have returned to normal. And here is where I make a really dumb play, because I immediately forget my plan and forget that he's +1 defense, and I go for Heavy Slam, which does nothing. Nothing at all. He's going to go for Draining Kiss, take me out, and get himself back up to over half. If I'd have gone for Ruination there, he'd have been at about 15-20% less of his health, and I'd have had more of a chance of trying to take him on with my Raging Bolt. So now in comes the aforementioned Raging Bolt, as really the only thing that can even do a modicum of damage to this thing. What I essentially have to do here is keep clicking Draco Meteor, and I kind of have to hope for a crit. That's all I have. He's not taking me out with one Draining Kiss. I am especially defensive Assault Vest Raging Bolt, so Draining Kiss even at +2 will not be taking me out from here, but it's not looking like a Draco will be doing the same to him. He is still at +1 special defense. So in comes the Draco Meteor, and we come so achingly close. Again, if I'd have gone for Ruination that previous turn, we would at least have taken out the Hatterene. That Draining Kiss is going to do so much damage to me and get him back so much health. The only thing I can do is keep clicking Draco Meteor and hope for a critical hit, but as you'll see, it's not coming for me, unfortunately. We're now at -4 special attack. That Draining Kiss is going to leave us on a sliver of health, but he is going to get back up to just so much. A crit will take him out from here. It's basically the only shot we have of even rescuing some differential. So in is going to come that third Draco Meteor, and we're not going to get the crit in the slightest. Q is going to make the very good play, the very safe play, the game-winning play to guarantee that he wins this one. He's going to go for the Trick Room, guaranteeing that he will outspeed this Raging Bolt, and the last one left in my party, that is of course the Iron Valiant, who can't touch him. I'm going to go for the Thunderclap, I may as well, but the Draining Kiss is going to come in and do that last 3 damage to take out my Raging Bolt. Down it goes, and all I have left is an Iron Valiant that unfortunately is not packing the coverage for a Terra Poison Hatterene. There's no point me doing calcs here, not a single point is there to be had. I'm just going to go into it. I'm not going to go for the Vacuum Wave, as say there just isn't any point. The Trick Room is up, he will be outspeeding me. So I'm just going to click, well, it doesn't really matter what move, to be honest. I can click Moonblast, Close Combat, Shadow Ball. My stabs are resisted. The Shadow Ball is just not really powerful enough to break through a Hatterene at +1 when it's at about 40-odd%. It's unstabbed. I click it just in case, but he is of course going to go for the Draining Kiss. We have a negative special defense nature, so he gets back to full health just to rub salt in the wound. Iron Valiant is going to go down. Hatterene is going to claim so many kills, and that is going to be the game. Rough one. Really rough one there. Not too much to be said about it, to be honest. I fell for one of the oldest tricks in the book. Prep massively for the big top tier threats, but completely fall by the wayside when it comes to dealing with something a little bit less obvious. And you know what? Full credit to Q, he brought a fantastic Hatterene set, and he played to his out, you know. He knew that he needed to get rid of my 2 Terra Captains. Effectively, they were the only 2 that really had a chance of taking on a Terra Poison Hatterene, you know. My Glastria could set up and do a massive amount of damage to it. My Meloetta was the only thing packing psychic moves to hit it when it was terrored. So he did really well there, you know, made sure he took them out, giving me Fortress and Rillaboom in the process, putting me in that false sense of security of that's a big threat and a big war gone, maybe we can go from here. But He had that fantastic set, very well prepped and very well built by Q. So hats off to you. I would, but I don't wanna. So yeah, that's a pretty big loss and our second in a row. And both those losses were pretty big ones. But we're still in a fairly good position on the table. You know, we're still 4-2, we still have a positive differential, and there's still 3 games left in the season. Next week, we're going to be taking on Finfin, someone I've never had the pleasure of playing before, so that is going to be exciting, but we really need a win to get us back on track, so keep an eye out for that one. Links, once again, down in the description to my man Q. Make sure you check him out. He is a fantastic dude. I've got all the time in the world for him. It's the second time we've battled. He's beaten me both times, but you know, he's a very good player. You rarely see him out of playoff contention, and for good reason. He is very good at this game. So make sure you check out his content and everyone else. Everyone's links in the league are down, excuse me, in the description. But I'm getting it out of here because my throat is going and it's like 4 AM. So my final thank you to you all for watching, and I guess with that, I'll see you next time. Laters.